All right, recording. All right, great. Okay, first person. Emily Shervoni. Emily Shervoni. So if you guys, whoever gets selected, if you could just chat me, if you could chat me your shipping address, that would be great. If you forget or if you can't figure it out, I'll email you guys after with all of the details and we'll figure it out. But if you could just chat me, that'd be really great. All right, awesome. Okay, next person. I feel like I need a drum roll. I'm just kidding.
Oh, look, I'll do it.
I was like, you'll do it, right? I could just do it in my head. Lindsay Dozier. I'm butchering these names, you guys. I'm sorry. Yay. Okay, good. All right. I'm getting addresses in. I'm doing it right. All right. Lindsay, congrats. Love it. All right. Third person. Shelly Monroe. Yay. All right. I can't hear anyone, so I feel like that was super anticlimactic, but I'm really excited for you guys.
We're cheering in our hearts.
Yes. All right. Awesome. Okay, great. So next round, we're going to do a little bit later, and then we're going to have the few at the end. So back to you, L'Oreal.
Thank you. All right. Let me share here. So this workshop is for you if, and I imagine some of these resonated if you signed up for tonight, if you have ever felt like a fraud. I know that I have. If you've ever let fear get in the way of doing something great or something small, if you've ever let it stop you from accomplishing a dream or a goal, and this is for you if you're ready for more and ready to move beyond that. So a little bit about me: award-winning journalist, motivational speaker. LT in the City is my blog and kind of lifestyle destination, work in wellness for ambitious millennial women, and also a lifetime sufferer of imposter syndrome. So this was me about 3 years ago. 2018, I started a new job as Director of Communications for a national education nonprofit. Now, to give you a bit of context, before that, I spent the majority of my career in journalism. I knew what I was doing. I studied it in school. I had all the internships. And so it made sense. It was like breathing. I knew how to do that. But in 2013, 2014, I had one of those Oprah aha moments when I realized that that wasn't all that I wanted to do, that I wanted to help women and girls and do writing, but not in that kind of constant make this go viral 24/7 news cycle sort of situation. And so I started looking into nonprofit public relations, communications, and knew I wanted to work for an organization that are helping young people and young women in particular. So I moved off the Girl Scouts for a couple of years, and then I wanted bigger, and I started applying for national roles. And I landed the Director of Communications interview for one goal where I am currently. And I remember distinctly in the interview process, the hiring manager asking me to rate myself on a scale of 1 to 10. And I told her 12. I was like, I'm the Olivia Pope of nonprofit PR. This is why you should hire me. Super confident, right, in that interview. And then I got the job. And then a couple of weeks before my start date, I started to panic, because I felt like I wasn't smart enough and I wasn't good enough and I didn't deserve to be in that role. And even though I've had these realizations throughout the course of my career, this was the first time I knew that it had a name, and I realized that I was being confronted once again with imposter syndrome. So first founded back in the 1970s by clinical psychologists Pauline Clance and Susan Imes, imposter syndrome is the phoniness in people who believe that they are not intelligent, capable, or creative, despite evidence of high achievement. Now, again, I don't know about you, but that for sure resonates with me. I had awards as a journalist. I had all these accomplishments. I had the receipts, and yet there was still this fear of being a fraud, of being an imposter, that I didn't know what it was that I was doing. But the good news is you are not alone in this. As Maya Angelou, Dr. Maya Angelou wrote, I've written 11 books, and each time I think, uh-oh, they're going to find out now. I've run a game on everybody, and they're going to find me out. And so if she felt that way, being this award-winning poet laureate, like just one of the greatest writers of all time, then I feel a little bit better about also experiencing imposter syndrome and recognizing that this is natural and especially very common in high achievers as well. And according to the International Journal of Behavioral Science, they did a study a few years ago and found that about 70% of millennials experience some kind of self-doubt at work. And the thing is, this isn't limited to just millennials and just women, but I do feel like it is heightened among marginalized communities. So if you add on top of that being a woman of color or someone who is LGBTQ identifying, there's these different layers that can contribute to that imposter syndrome as well. So what I want to do tonight is go over 7 of the steps that have helped me. You may have received the email this morning. There's a workbook. You do not need to do that in real time. It is more of a guide, a companion piece, if you will, to complete in your own time. Feel free by all means to take some notes tonight, phone, computer, notepad, whatever your preferred medium is. But we're going to go through those, and then you can, when you're ready, go back to the workbook and complete those exercises as well. And I think this is where I pause again, Jill, for the bracelets before we get into all of the steps.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so now that we have, give a few more people a chance to get in here. All right, so next up, next winner is Sarah Barner. So Sarah, go ahead and chat me your shipping address and we will get one of these mantra bands to you. And for those who might have missed it, I know we have more people coming in. Mantra bands, I put it in the chat if you want to check it out. They're just really beautiful, simple clasp bracelets that have a special message on that. And at the end, we're going to raffle off one special one that is going to have customized trust your dopeness. So stay tuned for that. All right. Sarah Barner, go ahead and chat me your shipping address. All right, next person, Catherine Thompson. Yay, congrats, ladies. All right, we'll do one more right now, and then we'll save the rest for the end. All right, last person for right now, Lee Garrett. Lee Garrett, so go ahead and just chat me your shipping address really quick. Yay, all right, back to you, L'Oreal.
Awesome. I like the little commercial breaks.
Right?
Yeah, keeping it lively. So the first step in overcoming imposter syndrome is to imagine your life without it. What goal, what dream do you have that imposter syndrome is standing in the way? So you can take a moment, brainstorm, do you want to go after the promotion? Do you want to raise? And yes, both of these things are still possible even amid a global pandemic. Do you want to switch careers? Maybe write a book, start a podcast. Whatever that thing is, there is a good chance, especially if you're here tonight, that imposter syndrome, some kind of feeling of being a fake or a fraud is getting in the way of that. And so I would love, and let's see if I can see in the chat, if you want to write it there, share a little bit about what that life would look like for you.
L'Oreal, I can also just read off some of them as they come through, so you don't have to worry about.
Oh, great.
All right.
Another way to put this question is, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? Which I think might also be a Jay-Z lyric, so, but don't ask me which song.
All right, so these are great. I would step up further in leadership, write my book. Yes, Kelly, write that book, girl. Create a program for teachers in training or write a book. Oh, yes. Not having to worry about income if I'm doing something that I enjoy without worrying about how others perceive me. Agreed. Love that.
That's good.
More confidently serving my clients as an event planner, hosting the most badass events. Sign me up, Donna. I'm on board.
Yeah.
I want to move up into the C-suite. Yes. Ebony, finally launched the blog I've been sitting on for 3 years. Let's do it, girl. All right, these are awesome. All right, I'll share a few more and then you can keep on going. But keep sharing these, everyone, in the chat. Oh, all right, here you go. I love this. I have no idea what I want to do, but feeling pretty desperate to transition into a new career I'm passionate about. Follow that passion. Heck yes.
Yeah.
Also, come on over to ALV. We'll help you out there. All right, last few. I would be a singer if I just, oh wait, one way hand. I would be a singer if I just wasn't shy and if I had not stopped practicing long ago.
Still not
Booking,
too late.
speaking engagements. These are awesome, you guys. Keep them coming.
Those are great. And I appreciate you all sharing so courageously and vulnerably in this space. I feel like that is often the first time, is just giving voice to those dreams, putting it down on paper, sharing with other people to help hold you accountable to those. So many that resonate with me, as I mentioned earlier, in the process of writing a book about imposter syndrome, and still very much feeling like an imposter writing a book on it, because who am I to do this? I'm not a psychologist. I didn't study it formally, but I have life experience. And so the point of this is to get you to that place where you do have the confidence. I have a mentor who, the best career advice I've gotten in my whole life was like, you need to have the confidence of a mediocre white man. And I mean, yes. And just owning that, because there was a Hewlett-Packard study that found with internal promotions that men would go after them if they had about 60% of the qualifications, whereas women are like, oh no, I have to have 100%. And I know for me, that's been so true of many of the jobs that I didn't even apply for. And here's the thing, you don't want to reject yourself before you've even given them a chance to review your resume. It's definitely that first step of just like, I'm a badass and I'm gonna do it. So the next thing I want you to do is to name that inner voice, that negative inner critic that we all have. I have named mine Nancy because I like alliteration, so negative Nancy. Whatever name you want to use. And the first thing I want you to do is thank that voice, that person, the negative Nancy that lives in your head, because even though it doesn't seem like it, their first goal is just trying to keep you safe and keep you from failing, keeping you in your comfort zone where we know like this is comfortable, I'm successful here, I can do this thing. But the thing is that all of the dreams and desires, the book, the podcast, the blog, the singing career, everything that you want and desire lives outside of that comfort zone. So we want to thank the voice for their service, if you will. But it's time that if you're in a car and the critic is driving it, there's going to say, you know, this paved road and it's safe here and we're going to do that. What you want to do is reclaim your power, take back the wheel, and they can still sit there. They can ride shotgun or in the back, but the point is that they're no longer in the driver's seat. And I highly encourage you afterward to go back to that workbook and take some time to sit down and write a breakup letter, essentially, to your inner critic, and just, again, thank them for their time. And now it's time for you to move on and for them to have a seat. I'm curious, and Dill, if you can read off in the chat if people want to add the name that you maybe already have for your critic, or it can be, just that negative voice that you have. If you don't have one, maybe borrow some suggestions from everyone else. You are free, more than free, to use negative Nancy, but I would love to know what you are naming that negative self-talk.
Sharon, nice. It's an ex-friend's name. Ooh.
Ooh, burn.
Ooh. Love that. Lila, Paris, Pamela, Mofo. These are great. This is so cool. I've never thought about naming your critic. Loki. Someone I had to let go did not bring me joy. Ben. Gilbert. All right.
Gilbert.
Roger, like go home, Roger. Oh, you guys, these are
I love that.
great. Yeah.
That is great.
Like, oh,
Thank you.
Helga.
I'm gonna borrow Roger too.
Yeah.
Helga.
Alex,
sorry to
after
Helga.
boss who didn't believe.
Yeah.
Love these. These are great. Felicia, as in bye. Heck yes. I might have to steal that one.
I'm really mad I didn't think about that one actually.
Right?
So. I'm renaming this step 2 by Felicia. So
yeah, there you go. Perfect. All right. Carry on.
So after we've gotten rid of the haters, of the inner critic, and nix the negative self-talk, the next step is to take stock of your accomplishments and achievements. So many times when you are grappling with imposter syndrome, it's very easy to believe, oh, I just got here because I'm lucky. Oh, they don't really know, like they're going to catch on to me, or just to attribute your success and your achievements to some kind of luck or happenstance. And we all know that's not the case, okay? Like, we work our butts off and we do what we have to do in order to get the raise, the promotion, the switch careers, and everything else. And so in the workbook, and even now, I want you to think about an accomplishment from the past. Today's Wednesday, we'll go with since Monday, because that's the other thing. We tend to think like, oh, I haven't done anything major. You've made it here today. That's one. You signed up, you followed through, and you are attending on a Wednesday night. And I feel like every day that we make it to another day in this pandemic is an achievement, is an accomplishment. And the goal is to kind of deconstruct what it took to get there, so that you can look at it as sort of a blueprint or a roadmap for the next change or the next goal that you want to go after. I'll give you an example. Me moving here to Chicago 7 years ago, I was a journalist in Baltimore and knew that I wanted to work for a national magazine. I wanted to further my career. And so I started researching media outlets in Chicago. I started making connections with journalists who were here and pitching stories to publications, and did all these steps, slid in DMs, had informational interviews, and all of that after a lot of rejections, but that's part of the process. Eventually got an offer. And so I can look back at it and be like, oh, I'm just lucky, or attribute it to something else. But no, the fact of the matter is I worked hard. I did my research. I did my homework, and I made a plan. I stuck to it, and that resulted in the outcome that I wanted. So take a minute right now to kind of stand in your shine and shout yourself out about something that you've done, an accomplishment, no matter how big or small. And we'll take it back a little bit further. So we'll go over to last week, something in the last 7 days that you're proud of. And I want you to use I statements to say that I did this, because it's really easy to be like, oh, well, I kind of helped or sort of did. No, start with I blank and name your accomplishment or achievement. And Jill, I'll pass it to you, read off a couple of those so we can snap for each other and give some virtual applause there.
All right, waiting for them to come in.
Don't be shy.
I cooked my very first Thanksgiving. Oh my gosh.
That's huge.
That's huge. Oh my gosh, congrats. That's a really big accomplishment. Oh, I love that. I started working out again. Amazing. Holy moly, I closed on a $320,000 deal at work. Major snaps.
What?
Holy cow.
Right.
I signed up to read poetry at an event for the first time in too many years. Oh, wow. Tell me more. That sounds amazing. I'm halfway done with my certificate program. Heck yes, Tiara. I finally took care of a medical issue that I was ignoring for a long time. Ooh.
So glad
These
you
are
did that.
great, you guys. I ran a 10K for the first time. My goodness. You guys are really inspiring. I'm almost done with my master's. I'm one semester away from graduating my master's.
Yes.
Holy cow, we have some high achievers here. I got my second promotion today at my job in 7 months of working here. Oh my goodness. Heck
That's
yeah, you guys
incredible.
are incredible. Oh my gosh, keep them coming. These are
Love that.
extremely inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. So take a moment to just sit with that and see, like, how did that feel to share, to boast in a way about, you know, this is not the time for humble brags. Okay, to be clear, we want you to stand in your shine, be proud of your accomplishment, and really own it and celebrate yourself, because it's also very easy, I know this because I do it, to diminish your success or to just gloss over it and you're on to the next goal, or like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, and to downplay it. And don't do that. That's how imposter syndrome wins. But we want to take your power back. We want you to be incredible and do all the things that you want to do. And so shout out, celebrate your achievements. The next step is affirming yourself. So we got rid of the negative voice, and now we want to replace it with more mindful mantra, affirmations. I have a deck of cards, actually, a friend got me for my birthday that I look at in the morning. But just something to hype yourself up. And then this sounds really, really cheesy, I know. But once you have it, and mine is trust your dopeness, that's why we're here, put it somewhere you can see it. So write it on a Post-it note and put it on your bathroom mirror. Make it a cute little graphic if you want in Canva, and make it your wallpaper. And actually, Jill, that reminds me, I have phone and laptop wallpaper with Trust Your Dopeness on it if anyone needs a constant daily reminder, that I can share afterward for everyone to have and to upload. And it's a mental thing. To see it and to say it out loud also helps. It might feel silly and weird, but that is what I lean on in those moments when Nancy starts to creep back out and she gets a little bit loud. Shutting it down with the affirmation is like, you got this. I'm a badass. I am smart. I am worthy. I am enough is another affirmation that I have to constantly, I'm an Enneagram type 3 achiever. And so it's easy to just go, 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 and not stop because I feel like I haven't accomplished enough, but to just know that you, as you are right now at this moment in time, are worthy and are enough is something to remember and lean on, and to try to squelch that voice. When that inner critic starts to get a little bit loud, use your affirmation, your mantras. Dr. Kristen Nath has really great self-compassion exercises that my therapist recommended that I lean on all the time to help combat that inner critic. And so I highly recommend those as well. And the other one is kind of it's not a trick, but I say this every time to everyone. I feel like overcoming imposter syndrome is a bit of a misnomer. In my experience, at least, and I can only speak for myself, I've just had to accept that it's along for the ride. So there are times where it is not as prevalent, and that's great. But again, to move to that next level, to advance, to get the raise, the promotion, switch careers, et cetera, trying something new, leveling up, that's when it starts to come back in, because now I'm like, okay, I've got this. I've been here at this company for 3 years. I know what I'm doing, and it's cool. I can just kind of coast. And you would think it gets easier as you get higher up in your company and the masthead of your media, like whatever it is. But what I found is that it intensifies, because it feels like then there's a lot more to lose. There's even more eyes on you now. And so that imposter syndrome starts to creep back up. But once you kind of make peace with it, accept that it's along for the ride. Like I said, it can ride shotgun or in the back seat, but it's not, I feel like, something you necessarily overcome once and it's done. The purpose of this workshop is to provide you with tools so that when it does appear, because it will appear again, you know how to better address it and to shorten the spiral, if you will, or the cycle that comes with the like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. You might have, a momentary freak out, and that is totally fine. We're all human, right? Like, that's okay. But the point is not to let it get the best of you, or to let it overcome you. And once you have done that, remembering that, I also recommend surrounding yourself with people who not only lift you up and hold you down. So yes, they hype you up, but they also kind of give you that reality check of like, hey girl, hey guy, hey them, hey you got this. You are great. You know what you're doing. And they remind you, our friends, what is the saying? Like, you're the sum of the five closest people. They shine a light back on you. They reflect who you are. And I love the tweet, I think it is, or like one of those Pinterest quotes about talking about behind every successful woman is a group chat hyping her up. It's so very much true. I mean, we are so incredibly hard on ourselves. And so having friends who can not just call you up, but call you in to remind you of those accomplishments that we mentioned before, who are able to give you that boost of encouragement that you need. Like, you need a pep talk. Sometimes you have to know which friends to go to for the pep talk. And the other kind of hack I use is borrowing from that self-compassion exercise is talking to yourself as you would a friend. So I imagine none of us would tell our best friends, what are you doing? Who do you think you are? You can't do that. I mean, I would hope not. So why then do we think it's acceptable to talk to ourselves in the same way? And if it's uncomfortable at first to hype yourself up or share that positive, that pep talk, whatever it is you need, then you may want to try to reframe in your head and talk to yourself as you would your best friend. And chances are you would be a lot kinder, more gentle, more compassionate. And that is how we should be talking to ourselves every day, but it's a practice for sure. But it is something that helps me make that switch between like, okay, calm down. It's okay, and we're going to get through this together. It's so much easier to give advice and not to follow our own advice is what I was trying to say. There's a medicine metaphor there that totally escaped me in the moment, but it's okay. We're going to go with it. And last but not least, trusting your dopeness. I heard someone earlier mention, this blog that I've been sitting on for however long. Done is better than perfect. Getting it out there, and you can always reiterate and make it better. But so often, and I say this, not even as a recovering perfectionist, I am a full-fledged perfectionist. And so many times you wait until it's all perfect and tied up in a nice, neat little bow. And the thing is, you'll be waiting forever because there's always going to be something that you can change or tweak or that you are unhappy with. But putting it out there, that's the first step. There's another quote that I love on social media, talks about the only difference between you and them is that they believed they could and they did. So there's a lot of people, who are talented and some who are not, but like the people who have the confidence to just go after it. And meanwhile, you're scrolling your phone, looking at them doing the thing that you wanted to do, getting salty about it, just because they have the confidence to press publish, to press submit, to apply for the job. And it takes, I love this from my mentor, Elaine Fluker. She has a podcast called Support is Sexy. And in one of the episodes, she talked about a book that mentioned 5 seconds of courage. So that's really all it takes. Yes, you prepare. And I already know, like, this is a group of high achievers. So you've done the work, you've done the research, you've put together the cover letter and the resume, you've had your friend who's really good at it, look it over so many times. All that's left to do is press the button. And it takes 5 seconds of courage, and that's it. Because after that, it's out of your hands. You've done the work, but it's just putting it out there that is going to help you elevate and get to that next step. This quote from Marianne Williamson, I really love, and it resonates with me, that our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. So what I encourage you to do, and this is a great time of year to start thinking about goals, and if you're into resolutions, you can do that as well, but to start thinking about what do you want your 2021 to look like? What would you do if imposter syndrome wasn't a part of that equation? And what is the first step to getting there? And it's not the biggest step, it's probably not the most glamorous one. If it's publishing your blog, the first step may be like acquire the domain name, decide on a name. If it's submitting your poetry, okay, where are we going to submit it? But it's breaking down that step and figuring out what is the next action item that you can do that's going to get you closer to it, because I guarantee that there is genius lying in all of you, and you take that first step, you build momentum and take the next step and the next step, and before you know it, like you've done the thing. But it's to remember that we gain nothing from you playing small. Like the world needs your brilliance and your voice. Like you need to be heard. And so I always think about like, what if Beyonce wasn't Beyonce? Or what if Oprah wasn't Oprah, right? We wouldn't have so many of the masterpieces like Black is King and Homecoming just would not exist in the world. And so you have some like piece de resistance or whatever. I took Spanish, not French, so I probably completely butchered that, forgive me. But there is something that is living inside of you that other people would really benefit from and need, that only you can bring into the world. And so that is why I need each and every one of you to figure out that thing, get rid of the self-talk, lean into and trust your dopeness so that you can do what it is that you were meant to do. And so thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Here's how you can stay in touch. And then I'm going to stop sharing so I can see your faces and also the chat, and we can segue into our Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you so much, L'Oreal. That was wonderful and much needed. I feel like sometimes I feel like more so this year, just like that, kind of just that residual energy, weird kind of just everything that's going on. I feel like when the external pressures kind of come on to me, that's when I notice that inner critic is just chatty Kathy chatting away. So I'm curious, is there as people, I guess we should say this, opening up to Q&A before I just start rambling and asking questions. Anyone, if you have any questions for L'Oreal, please go ahead, put them in the chat. We're getting lots of thank yous.
Oh,
Yeah.
far too kind. And shout out to Mark as well for listing the lane. Like I see the link there, so I love whoever was
I know.
double tasking. What even is? Oh, sorry. Like, it's late. What are words?
I know. What are words? So as people, I'm sure people will think of some questions to ask, but I'm just curious, did you experience anything different, just like given COVID and, external pressure and stress and everything? Like, do you notice that different, like heightened when there's like external pressures and stress and everything? Like, does that inner critic kind of get heightened for you as well?
Oh, certainly. Probably like every Tuesday on Clockwork, because that's when everyone announces their book deals and everything else. And I'm like, oh, good for you. There is some of the jealousy and second guessing and self-doubt, because you believe like, okay, I can do this thing. But then, and that's why social media, I feel like blessing and a curse, because absolutely the representation and meeting new people and just admiring the writers that I love to read and connecting with them online. And also, I mean, it's very easy to then compare yourself to other people and their accomplishments. And what I try to remind myself, the friend, another author is at Essence, or she was, and Sharia Jackson told me one time, it's like, you can't compare your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. And that's all social media, especially Instagram, is just this highlight reel. We're not sharing the bad stuff or the rejections. That's the other thing. We're trying to like normalize rejections as well. I shared with my newsletters, it's like I got rejected from literary agents. Like one told me, hey, come back when you have 20,000 followers. I think at the time I had maybe 8 across all of the platforms, including like friends from Facebook, like high school or whatever. And we just don't talk about those sort of things. Like everyone's just so quick to share the fun stuff, the exciting things, the accomplishments. And because of that, you can start to feel some shame around the rejection, when really that's a normal part. If you are a writer, rejection is part of the course. I mean, that's any industry, honestly. And just talking openly about it, having the conversation, or even admitting to feeling like an imposter and being a fraud. That's another thing. We act like everyone has it together. And I said, like, whoever does is lying because I don't know a single person who actually has it all together. So those external validators, and that's why I recommend like keeping your eyes on your own lane, like slay in your lane. There is a unique voice, gift, whatever it is that you have, that doesn't matter what everyone is doing over here. Right? It's like the Olympic swimmers. You are Michael Phelps. You have you're in your lane. Stay focused on your lane so you can get to the finish line.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel it's like we know these things, right? We just have to actually act on them and do them.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. All right. So now got some questions. Great. Michelle, I feel you on this. What if you don't have a list of accomplishments compared to colleagues? Kind of what we were just talking about. This is when it creeps in for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that comparison, I mean, it's natural, right? We're human. That is part of what we do. And my mom, I love moms. The saying of like, what's meant for you won't miss you is what I try to remind myself of as well. And that it might not also be your time yet. I wrote in today's newsletter actually about the 30 under 30 list. Now I'm 33. There's no way I'm ever going to be on that. And I wasn't, and it's fine. And I haven't even, they're like, oh, but maybe 40 under 40. Like, I'm not going to set myself up for that disappointment, because really, to be clear, it's a popularity contest. Like, people who are on the list have to nominate other people. And it's a whole, even like Cranes here in Chicago, like the 30 under 30 and 40 under 40, you have to pay for it. So we put a lot of value in these lists that are kind of arbitrary popularity contests. So that is, I think, the first thing is just kind of like eyes on your own paper, making your accomplishments, writing down, working backwards. Like you said, compare yourself to colleagues. I imagine that you're in some type of role or environment where you have coworkers, you're at a job. What did it take for you to get to the job? Like, that is an accomplishment in and of itself. What did you learn? Like, different skills and soft skills matter as well. And so it's picking apart, and that's why I say, like, any kind of accomplishment, learning a new skill, there you cannot see on the other side of this computer, there's a puzzle in front of me. Like, did you put together a puzzle in the pandemic? Did you, lace up the shoes and go for a quick run or something? Like, we put a lot of worth in our professional success. And so if that is an area of struggle, then maybe start looking into the personal success, and one will bleed into the other and impact the other as well. That's my advice.
I love that. Thank you. Yeah, I like that. I love everything what you said at the end. Instead of just looking for like work professional or comparing yourself professional, not compare yourself, but work on the personal side. I love that. And I think another thing too is what other people's accomplishments, what's accomplishment for them might not necessarily be of interest or an accomplishment for yourself. It's all about that feeling. And if that doesn't spark you comparing yourself to others, then that's just a reminder to stay in your own lane.
Yeah, and you're running your own race too, because that's the other thing in journalism. I thought, I want to be editor-in-chief, and was, full transparency, super jealous of Elaine Welteroth when she was at Teen Vogue. And I'm like, I just stayed in it long enough. Like, I could have been her, that could have been me. And what I have found getting closer to the top, if you will, is that's not actually what I want. Like, I don't want to be a CEO. I don't want to have those responses. It's easy to think like, oh, this is success, or I have to have the six-figure salary. I must check these different boxes. But sitting down and figuring out what does success look like to you, defining it on your own terms. The definition or kind of quote that I go back on, I love Maya Angelou, in case you couldn't tell, but she has one that says, success is liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking how you do it. And for me, if all three of those can ring true, then that to me is success. Not the title, not the salary, not the accolades, not a Forbes 30 under 30 list, but asking myself those three questions repeatedly. And if you are interested, like want to get to the top, whatever the top may be, I don't know if you have check-ins with your manager, during your performance review, asking for feedback, and of your coworkers as well, like getting that from your peers to look at ways, okay, maybe there are some areas of improvement and taking that feedback with a grain of salt, like making sure that it makes sense and it is true to you and what it is that you're trying to do. But it's, not being afraid to ask for that feedback and then working on it. But I am sure have a list, like once you sit down and think about it, personal or professional, but you got here. So that's an accomplishment in of itself.
Yeah. 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 No matter how big or small, it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So any tips like what you did with the steps for dealing with external pressure? You can't always ignore critics from when they come from your family. Ooh, yes. So like the literal like critics, like people actually, that's a tough one. Yeah.
Yeah. Brene Brown has a great, I think it's FDR, one of the Roosevelts. I also did not do very well in history, so forgive me on that one. But talks about how it's very easy to criticize. Is about like the man in the arena is the genesis, is what you're trying to say, where essentially the people who are sitting in the cheap seats, it's very easy for them to criticize the person who is in the arena and doing the work, is trying to make the thing happen, is going for the goal, is stepping out of the comfort zone. Lost my train of thought. It's going to come back to me. But yeah, it's very easy to criticize, I think, another Instagram popular quote, something that you don't understand or that you're not doing. And here's the thing, like, people mean well, at least I like to believe, I assume positive intent. So their fears may be creeping into yours as well. Like from a point of trying to protect you, especially with parents. I feel like, they, that's their job, right? Is to protect you and keep you safe. And over here, so it's like, hey, don't, quit that job and go writing or do whatever it is you want to do, because that's scary. It's not guaranteed. And their fears and insecurities, if you allow them, can seep into your own as well. And so that's, probably not as easy. You want to sit down and write a breakup letter to your parents, but boundaries, setting boundaries about what you will and will not discuss with them, thanking them for the concern, like hearing them out and, validating that. And it's like, thank you, but I'm going to still do this, or I appreciate your concern, and this is really important to me. Here's how I would appreciate you supporting me. Like, it sounds so much of like life issues and things coming out of communication, but I think if you can have those conversations candidly and share with them how you need or would appreciate support. And then it's like, if you can't do that, then maybe this is something that we don't discuss. Like, I don't feel comfortable discussing this with you and setting those boundaries around what you do and do not discuss. And it's hard because it's family, right? Like those are your people. And I feel that it's difficult for your own mental health and sanity and success. It may be necessary to just set some boundaries around what you share. And you have different friends for different conversations, and same with family. There are people you can go to and some that you can't, and that's okay. Not everyone needs to be your biggest cheerleader, because they won't be. Beyonce still has haters.
Awesome. Thank you. Much, very helpful. All right. So we do have, oh goodness, we have a lot. We have some good questions. So we'll get through at like 5 minutes till we'll do the last raffle. And then if we have time, then maybe we can answer a few more. Okay. Oh wait, Han.
Oh, Emily found the teddy. Thank you so much. I was like, I know it's a Roosevelt.
Oh yeah.
Quotes it.
Yes.
Put the two together fast enough in real time.
All right. So next question. I'm wondering if you could speak on the balance between developing a system of self-affirmation and the potentially slippery slope into toxic positivity. Do you believe toxic positivity is a real? Oh, heck yes. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Great question.
I mean, Absolutely. And that's why my therapist is really great too. There's it's a feeling wheel. That's literally what it's called. I thought it had a different name, but they use the feelings wheel. Because like, how does that feel? I was like, oh, I'm fine. It's like, fine is not a feeling. And so I use that tool to literally in the middle of a session or even in conversations with coworkers, like, how do I actually feel? And it's this multicolored wheel that has many, many, many different feelings on it, because sometimes it's hard to give name to what it is we're feeling. And what I have found is that once I can name something and identify it, then I'm better able to cope with it. And so definitely like in this year, like 2020, insert however you feel about it there. Like this is not the year, in my opinion, for toxic positivity, because there is real stuff going on. And I even tweeted on Sunday about like, don't let anyone bully you into finishing the year strong. It is enough if you simply finish. Okay, if we all make it to December 31st in one piece, that in itself is an accomplishment. And so I balance that by being real, like the honesty with the how are you feeling? Answer that question. Use the feeling wheel if you need to. And just, I will literally in the middle of my session go, like, I feel frustrated, I am angry, and I'm irritated, and naming them one by one, allowing that feeling to kind of marinate, because it's easy for me, at least, like the workaholic in me, to breeze over that, especially hard feelings, right? And this year has been a year of collective grief and trauma, and my defense mechanism, if you will, is to work through it, or to work out, like, well, let me get on the Peloton and just kind of like bike my way through these hard feelings. But if you sit with it, acknowledge it, make space for it to do whatever it needs, if that's crying, if that's screaming, dancing out, journaling, etc. And then maybe once you're ready, move into the meditation or the affirmation. I think it's just acknowledging and validating your own feelings. And it's like, you can do both. So it's not the toxic positivity, like everything's great. Or the Lego song, like everything is awesome. It's not about that. It's like, there is real stuff going on. I'm going to acknowledge that and hold space for it. And I'm also going to affirm myself and create space to help pull myself out of that once I'm ready, but not to rush the process, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That's a great question and great response. Yeah, I think that toxic positivity is a real thing. I love that, naming it. That's so powerful. And something else that I do with my clients as well is instead of just saying like, I am wealthy and I am confident and I love everything about my body. If those aren't true beliefs, that toxic positivity can kind of carry over that as well. So something that I like to do, I do myself, is I am in the process of becoming more confident in myself. I'm in the process of, so it's kind of, it's not that like automatic, that like jarring shift in thought processes. So thank you for that question. All right. Okay. Oh, you know what? Actually, we're at 4 minutes. So we have one last question actually. So I'm going to do the last 4. We have 4 more, right? 6. Yep. 4 more. Okay. Ready? This will kind of be rapid fire. So ladies, I hope you're still on. Please go ahead and chat me in the chat box your shipping address. All right. Gigi Marie. I think Gigi is still on. Let's see. Yes, she is. Okay, good. All right, Gigi Marie, congrats. And then Katie Chambers. I don't know if Katie is on still. All right. Katie, chat me if you're still on. We'll pick another one if she's not. And then Melissa Perry, you are winner number, oh gosh, how many now? 8. Awesome. All right. Melissa, congrats. And then, all right, so now I'll have to do a different one for oh wait, there she is, Katie Chambers. Never mind, there you are. We're good. Awesome. And the last one for Trust Your Dopeness is Renata. You are the final winner. So go ahead, chat me your addresses, ladies, and congrats. I feel like mail and shipping is a complete disaster right now. So these might take a little bit to get to you, but don't worry, they will be on their ways. I'll make sure to email all of the winners with everything in next steps. So all right, so let's do this final. I think there's just one question left. Oh yeah, people are just, you guys are, this is a really great group of people tonight. I just love this. Everyone's
supportive,
sharing so much. Like, oh my goodness, this is like the best chat I think I've seen in a long time. Okay, last question. A lot of strategies you shared for managing imposter syndrome sound like skills I've seen people use in journaling. Have you used this strategy and would you recommend it? Ooh.
I am a lifelong journaler, and gosh, probably in middle school, I think is when I started as a way of coping with bullying, if that makes sense. So I skipped a grade. I was very insecure in myself, a lot of internalized self-hate. Brittany, Christina were all the rage, and I was like, I'm just this awkward Black girl who likes Spice Girls, and didn't fit in with some of my classmates. And so just writing it out was a way for me to get it from in my head onto paper, and it was just very cathartic. And I've kept it up. I still journal to this day, and especially as a writer professionally, that is my private space to kind of just make sense of the world, honestly, and brain dump ideas. And it's really nice to revisit, like to go back and look at your growth over the years in journals. I know there's so many different mechanisms now, like people have bullet journaling or insert whatever new trend is now, but I just kind of free write whatever comes to mind. I write it down for me, because I'm a writer, I'm an external processor. I need to get it out of my head. So that's been helpful for me. There are journals that have prompts. Actually, my gratitude journal, because you have to have 3 different ones, a prayer journal, a regular journal, and my gratitude journal is from Target, and it has prompts. Most of them are like, today I'm grateful for, but they'll have different questions. Ink and Vault has one. I'm trying to think of some other ones where I've seen prompts. So that can be helpful too. It's like sometimes staring at a blank page can be daunting. Figure out the one that works best for you and try around and see, what sticks. But 10 out of 10 would recommend journaling.
Oh, heck yes. Yes, I used to only brain dump. I love brain dumping. Oh my goodness. I used to only brain dump when I would be really upset or frustrating, but then I realized how good it still feels when you're still feeling really good. It's nice to look back and see, positive, or at least to reflect, so I love that.
Yeah.
What were the 3 journals that you mentioned? You said,
I have just a regular, like everyday journal, gratitude journal, and a prayer journal. I write verses and devotionals that resonate with me.
I love that. Beautiful. All right. Well, everyone is absolutely loving this. So thank you so much for your time and your energy and your space and just all of the goodness that you were able to share with us. This was very clearly a much needed topic. I know I sometimes selfishly get to book events that I really need myself. So thank you so much for being here. And we just really appreciate it. And everyone, so everyone's asking, because people are just kind of really obsessed with everything that happened tonight in the chat. So I will be able to, I'll figure out how to download the chat to make it not look super weird, because there's really great resources. People are still sharing really amazing stuff. I will be sending a follow-up email with just some highlights, ways to stay in touch with L'Oreal, ways to stay in touch with us. I'll figure out, maybe I can figure out a way, because people are asking how they can all stay in touch with each other. So I'll see if maybe there's something we can do with that. Otherwise, we can just stay connected with social media and stuff like that. So thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for sticking around.
Thank you.
And just keep an eye out for that follow-up email that I'll be sending out tomorrow to everyone, just with all the goodness that we were able to experience tonight. So thank you again, L'Oreal. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for everyone for coming out, for sticking around, for sharing the stuff and making sense of what I was trying to say at times, and I couldn't remember exact quotes. So just, yeah, really grateful for this community.
Awesome. And side note, someone just recommended a Google Sheet. So thank you. God, this is the most resourceful group of
So
people.
smart.
Awesome. All right, ladies, thank you all. And gentlemen, I know we had some gentlemen on tonight. So thank you, everyone. Have a good night, and hope to see you all or connect in the future.
Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.